Welcome back to the Wolff Den presented by Win Again Academy. I'm Matt Wolff, founder and CEO of Ticket Time Machine. Today we have Joe Rubin on the show. Welcome to the Den.
What's up, Matt? Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, it's going to be a great show. We're going to be talking about a lot of music.
Right on.
Which I love, and podcasting, which I guess we're sort of doing now.
Sort of in the biz, yeah.
Yeah, sort of. I don't know. I don't call this a podcast. It's more of a show right now because I'm not really distributed to all podcast channels, but we're live right now on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. And I'm building content. You know, I still got.
Dude, we're gonna have to talk after the show, man.
295, episode 295, and building content, and then we're just gonna. It's time and money. Time and money is the more money than time, but that's But I do this for fun. Yeah. And I do it to educate, entertain, and also to give exposure to the audience, to new people that they've never met, and to you getting in front of the guest getting in front of a new audience, and either sharing stories and information that they don't know, or if it's people who do know you, hopefully getting a little bit beneath the surface and discussing some things that the average person doesn't know, even if they know who you are.
Sure. Well, I will happily chat about all those things. Though I do want to say, if and not to sidetrack this, but 258 episodes, was it?
295.
295. That was my brain not really working well, but 295. That's awesome. That's a lot of content. That's a lot of episodes. I mean, you can take the audio that you're doing here, strip it out, put it on one of those hosting platforms for podcasts, and then it distributes to all the different platforms. So I don't know if anybody else here is watching and does just video only content, but if you're not taking advantage of the podcasting technology, the podcasting angle of this, you're missing out on a big audience, speaking of.
Yeah. And that's what I aim to do, in two ways: repurposing the content I have, and then hopefully building that audience for what's to come. And sometimes it's like the chicken and the egg.
It also costs you next to nothing to do this.
Yeah. Well, that's the issue, is the time and the money, even though, look, we'll talk all about all of that. But it's interesting, the difference. Like, first of all, we did this 295 episodes. It's probably the first time we didn't do an introduction right from the start, which I actually usually ask you to do. So obviously you're well-versed in podcasts. Tell everybody why and who you are real quick.
Sure. Yeah. I know. I just kind of jumped into the first question.
That's good.
So I'm Joe Rubin. I'm the co-founder of mopod.com. And we are the largest driver of growth to some of the biggest podcasts out there. We specialize in getting more people to listen to your podcast. It's also we also run the Friday Night Karaoke podcast and Facebook group. That is our sort of our eat your own dog food sort of podcast, where we learned how to podcast, get things going, build our own audience, build our own content. And then we used all of our promotional tools on our own podcast to get that going and practice on that and make all sorts of mistakes. And then we rolled it out to our customers.
Well, I think it's great to do that, because people have this feeling that a podcast should be all neat and tidy. It doesn't have to be. This show is live. Who cares how we do it? I have bloopers. I could probably run a whole blooper show on the stuff we did. Just get it out there and let people figure out, what they want or what they don't. And then as you grow and get suggestions, you can move forward. That's kind of I sort of hesitated to put it on the podcast because I didn't just want to throw stuff out. I want to have a table of contents. I want to do that. All this stuff that you can do if you put some money into the show.
Yeah. And again, things like that where, time versus money. Yeah. Look, nothing's going to be completely free. You can't just completely do this free, but there are also tools that do that as well, that build this table of contents for you, that build show notes, that use AI to pull out a lot of the text and things that you're saying, and then build all these things for you. So as far as, time commitment goes, getting a few platforms that, you've tried out that, and there's lots of recommendations out there. People like this one, people like that one. Find one that works for you, and it'll really make your life a lot easier in getting that going.
Yeah. Well, we met at Podfest,
which
is one of the bigger conference.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
For podcasts. It was great fun. We had
Yeah.
and the reason I went is to kind of find out what is out there. So when I am ready to do it for whatever, that I'll have options. And man, if you've never been to one of those, the stuff, it's crazy how you think you know about things until you go to something like this and there's 7 different new technologies that you're like, it blows your mind.
That's a story of my life, man. I mean, a lot of times, sometimes when I think I'm kind of smart at something, I then meet a bunch of people and I'm like, damn, I know nothing. This is amazing. I love it. And it's just been like my entire professional career. And my career at home too. I always think I know something at home, and my wife reminds me that I do not. So it's the full life cycle. It's nice.
I got to meet William Hung. It was I sent this snap. He's very nice.
Oh, I gotta follow up with that dude. Damn it.
So nice.
Forgot. Yes. He's got to be a guest on my Friday Night Karaoke podcast for sure. He's got to be.
Yeah. He just got married.
Yeah.
Yes, and there was it's a really weird story. I don't know if you looked at this yet, but if I asked you, hey, how many followers on Instagram do you think William Hung has?
138,000.
6,000. I'm like, you were the most popular person in the world and it was granted, it was at the beginning stages of all this.
Right.
6,000. It's crazy.
Wow. All right.
I almost have 6,000. Well, actually, I don't think I'm even close, but still, whatever. And the funny thing is, God bless William Hung, because you would think he, on top of having more followers on Instagram, I would think he would have made some money from what he did. He has a GoFundMe for his wedding. It was like, it's the weirdest. I got to send you the link. GoFundMe for William Hung's wedding. Anyway, crazy.
You know what? It's, I don't want to say it's easy, because it's certainly not, but like sometimes people are really good at riding a wave of like instant fame. You know, he's had his 15 minutes of fame, but there's people who can ride that and make tons of money for a long time, really by having just a tiny scratch of fame, you know, but it is amazing that people can do that.
Yeah. And then you could like shit your pants on video and you're set for life.
Yeah, exactly. Once I ruined one pair of pants and I'm good for life. Free pants the rest of my life.
Yeah. It's crazy. Did they even have a convention like that for podcasting is, now is crazy. Everyone and their mother has a podcast. Someone told me only 20% maybe has more than 5 episodes.
I think that number is a little bit lower. There's actually a lot of podcasts out there that are started that have listed and have been indexed, and a very small fraction get to past 20 episodes, and even a smaller fraction get beyond 100. It's pretty crazy. There's the inactive amount of podcasts that are out there. People just sort of fall off pretty fast once they start one. So, but if you can start one,
why is that?
They're hard to do it. A lot of people started them over the past few years, right? Like, I'm stuck at home, pandemic, lockdown, can't do shit, right? I need a podcast. Let's do that. Let's make a podcast, And they start talking about shit and they start doing it and building it and realizing like, yeah, podcasting is not for me for one reason or another. Maybe it's not. I mean, it's easy, right, to get started, right? But it's hard to do it well. And it's hard to make a good podcast, right? Yeah. You have to actually, like anything you want to do well in life, you have to commit to it, and you have to do a good job. You have to research it, and you have to put things together, and you have to bring on right guests, and you have to script it out, and you have to do the follow-up and the promotion around it. There's a ton that goes into it. So starting a podcast, sure, I could start a podcast in 5 minutes. While we're on this podcast, I could start another podcast just by going to a podcast host and just by typing away right here. But to actually do a good podcast takes commitment and time, and sometimes people, it happens. It's not the only industry, right? Like all those people, like, the Grant Cardones, right? Like where people will say, oh, you know what? Great. I did the first step. I spent the $4,000 to get the big kit and the thing. And I bought the stuff and it's all sitting here and the plastic's still on it in my desk. And it's been there for 7 months, right? And I haven't opened it, right? But I did that first step, and that was the easy part. But actually committing to it and doing something well, that's the part where, a lot of people stumble.
I'm a huge Jason Bateman fan.
Mm-hmm.
And someone had told me about Smartless.
Yeah.
Have you listened to it?
I've listened to a little bit of it. I should listen to more. It was pretty funny. But it's actually one of the top podcasts now in the world.
Which is crazy
blew
because
up.
it's and I love Bateman.
Yeah.
And so I started binging it. I've watched probably 3/4 of all of them.
Wow. All right.
And this is a podcast. Like, I'm a type of person who I don't know how you are. I'm a type of person who needs to listen and watch them. I watch a television program. I got to watch it. I got to watch a movie. I can't have it on in the background. Sports, yes, but something I want to absorb. This podcast, I just have in the background, and I don't. Yeah. If I miss something, it's not a big deal.
I like the background music stuff because I am inevitably never just sitting down. Like this is the longest I've sat in, I guess, 15 minutes since we've been recording. Usually I'm up and around and I'm doing something else.
So you have to listen in the background.
Yeah, I like putting things on in the background, just putting the earbuds in, listening to it, and laughing and learning and doing whatever, but then doing other things that I'm working on. So that's typically what I'm doing. But late night, all right, I'll crash on the couch and sit there and watch it. But like usually during the day, like I'm all about it. Either maybe I'm driving, maybe I'm doing something else, working on something. But I like listening.
But I'm listening to that podcast, and I'm not an expert by any stretch, but I've obviously have 295 episodes, so I've done it to you. I have suggestions that would make their podcast much better. If you gave me their guest list, I could become the top. I mean, people are listening because of the guests that they get, and they're getting those guests because of who they are and all the work that they've done. But then by that stretch, it's like there's two categories. Like, we're a famous person who has this, and I listen to it because of that. And we have something that you're not famous, you're not known. You have a podcast that's cool because people enjoy it. Let's talk about Friday night karaoke. Like, who doesn't want to listen to karaoke? It's awesome. And that podcast is going to be a very popular podcast for things to do. Is different than someone like, again, a famous person who does a podcast, and we have all these listeners. Like, why do people listen to that? Do they genuinely like it? Or they just, it's like Grant Cardone has a huge following. Are they just going to listen to everything he does, tweet and reply to everything he does? Garrett, all these people who have this huge following and then go into it, as opposed to someone who has a great idea, a very entertaining, educational, inspirational podcast, and grows it that way.
Well, when you have famous people that people have been following for a long time, and they've got a big budget where they can hire producers, hire people to do the video, hire people to do the editing, hire people to do the audio and scripting, and make everything look good, and the post-production and the promotion. And you got an amazing Rolodex where you can bring on all your movie star friends, right? And it's basically, you can do a podcast where, like, we really don't have to try that hard. We could just sit there and talk about Hollywood and some of our fun stories and shoot the shit for a while. And people will listen to that and eat it all up because, oh my God, I mentioned this celebrity and we had this time when we were at the bar and like he got drunk and blah, blah, blah. Right. Like, you could tell fun stories like this and really not have anything scripted at all and make it huge just by your own fame and what you bring to the table. But, that you have to be famous to get that sort of thing. It's harder for someone that's not famous to all of a sudden get famous guests and then get their following and get their tiny Instagram of a few thousand people to all of a sudden and then blow it up. It's harder if you're not a movie star.
I've gotten some known people, and it didn't get as much a bump as I would think it would, partly because they didn't do a good job of sharing, right?
Yeah,
nobody cares about me and the Wolff.
Exactly. It gets about
who's coming on.
It could still suck. Like, you can still, like, there's famous people who do big time Hollywood movies and they crash and burn because it sucks, right? It's not guaranteed success, but it certainly gets you that first 5 steps beyond most people. You could still fuck it up from there.
Yeah, it's once a week. I think if you have, like, with that podcast, you're dropping it, people get excited, or they can go through it. Right. It's sort of, I look at that when I look at TV also. When you start looking at, like, the daily shows and these things that go every day, you're thinking, would that be better and more entertaining? And would I be more interested if it wasn't every day and it was once a week, because I didn't have to worry about missing it? Like, on my DVR, I kind of record all this stuff. And then I'm just like, if I can't watch it constantly, then what's the point of that? Because you don't necessarily know what it's going to be about, right? Just by saying, hey, what are they going to talk about? I don't know. In podcasts, you could have a table of contents and you can really look at it that way. So I think importance is, well, actually, let's ask you, what is the importance of doing a podcast Is it how many times you do it a week or a month? Is it keeping it at the same time? What do you think is the most important aspects of a
Sure.
podcast and trying to get listenership?
Sure. Well, from a scheduling point of view, it varies from genre to genre, right? So if you're doing a news show and you're doing it once a week, you're not going to get as much traction as if you're doing it once a day when news is fresh. This happened last night in the world, and I'm talking about it today, right? So if a daily news show has to be on a consistent basis, that you start skipping days and not, and skipping weeks, nobody's going to follow you anymore, right? You're not going to have your following. So those daily news shows do well because they are consistent and they're on every day, usually at the same time. And the ones that I see do really well have a live aspect to it as well. So they have the chat screen at the bottom and people typing in, oh, look, Bobby 345 just typed in a question. And so those things do really well when you have a live audience, and then the playback afterward, people can follow it afterward. But if you have sort of a scripted show and it's a comedy or something else in a different industry, and you want to do it once a week, great. If you have something that's completely irrelevant to time, where it just can be evergreen content, you're talking about, I don't know, rocks, right? Like, okay, rock discussions haven't changed much in thousands of years, right? Like, you crack open a rock, this is the kind of rock it is. If I tell you now or I tell you in 3 years, it's going to still be the same rock, right? Like, it's not going to lose its like timeliness, So those types of shows, you don't have to do it on a regular basis, but if you do it once a week, or you just consistently every other week, where you're like, I'm rock hunting and I'm finding some interesting rocks out here, and here's what they're all about. Someone who is interested in geology can listen to that thing 4 years later and just have 12 episodes that they can listen to, and it doesn't matter. So
I think we can make any topic interesting for a group of people. I think
most topics,
just like what you just said with rocks, you could just the description of that, you would
you could totally make. I mean, dude, rocks rock, dude. We can make it very interesting.
We could do
rocks
for jocks. That was the college course that everyone wanted to take.
Right, that's a good name.
Geology, rocks for jocks that's how we nicknamed it. The podcasting. How did you even get into it?
So we started in the newsletter space, and we were driving subscribers to some of the biggest newsletters out there, and we were getting a lot of requests to help get more ears on their podcast. And we didn't know what we were doing. We were like, we don't know really what podcasting is all about. I can't really spend time working on this. After the fourth time we got asked, we're like, all right, we got to figure out this podcasting biz. Like, what is this? So we didn't want to just go in there and start being like, yeah, we know what we're doing. So we had this Facebook group that we started over the pandemic called Friday Night Karaoke. And at first it was just, me and my buddies singing to each other. There was nobody on there. And we had 3 people. It was a little awkward. And then the word starts to get out because people were stuck at home looking for things to do. And they started joining this group and started posting songs. And it became a lot of fun. We started getting dozens of songs posted every day. Now we're at hundreds of songs posted every day. We have 16,000 members in this group. And we decided, all right, let's make a podcast about something that we can speak to, that we love, that we have a passion about. And we love doing this. Before the pandemic, we would go to karaoke. We'd take friends there. We'd take clients there. It's a lot of fun. Great way to get people to open up and have a good time. And we were like, all right, let's do a podcast about this. So what we did is we're like, all right, we would pick a theme of the week for the Friday Night Karaoke. This week is country week. This week is 80s pop. This week is hair bands. This week is, so we pick that week, and then we do the podcast where we pick out 10 songs from the group that match the theme, and we would put them on there and play the songs, and then we would talk about them. And we kept it super positive. This was not like, let's rip people apart at all. We wanted to keep it positivity only, right? We wanted to keep it gimmick free, ad free, just make it fun, make it about the music, make it about 2 guys just sitting there. We would crack open a bottle of whiskey, we would laugh, we would tell stories, and play the next song. And then we would talk, and that song would end. We'd be like, oh my God, that's fantastic. What an amazing singer. I've never heard her before. She kind of sounds like Whitney Houston, blah, blah, blah. We, just shoot the shit a little about it. And then, we'd tell some funny story in life and then start the next one. But it gave us the opportunity to learn the software of setting this up, about microphones, about speakers, about hosting platforms, about everything in podcasting. So that way, and then we tried to promote it right? Let's get the word out. People want us to promote their podcast. Let's see if we can promote our own, right? If we can't do this for ourselves, we have no business doing this for anyone else, right? So we would promote it. We lost a lot of money. We wasted a lot of cash doing it wrong. And then finally we were like, all right, we're starting to get pretty good at this. And we started getting some good promotion out of our podcast. And we went back to our customers and we're like, all right, listen, we think we got this. We're going to give it a try. We're going to work on a performance only basis. So that way, if we fuck up, you're not really paying for it. Let's just experiment a little bit. We'll take the risk. And if it works, then, you pay for what you get. And they were like, well, sure. Right. That's an easy one to say yes to. So we were able to sell it like that, where we took the risk and it worked, and we started getting better and better. And we built up a team around this of designers and media buyers and tech people and sales and everything. And now we're at 11 people, I think 11, 12 people, and a couple of consultants. And we've got a great team, and we focus just tons of our energy all day on making amazing ads and performing them and putting them all over the internet and getting people promotion for their podcast.
It's evolved, obviously. How is it evolved from just the two of you, and what about the way it was when you first started do you kind of miss?
Now, are you referring to our podcast?
Yeah.
So it's definitely evolved, right? We had just a few people on the Friday Night Karaoke page, and once we started doing the podcast, we started spreading the word out there. People started joining the membership. We've got probably hundreds of songs being submitted every day on the Friday Night Karaoke Facebook group. It's a fantastic group. We've got a ridiculously great group of moderators, which I totally recommend. So I would say just about anything that you're doing, if you're doing a podcast, if you're doing it just on video, having a Facebook group where people where your fans, your friends, your cohorts can interact, I think is totally a great idea. But have it well moderated. Like, our moderators are so good. Like, anybody says something, dickish, they get kicked off immediately. Anybody posts, we're posting some garbage on there, they get kicked off immediately. We try to keep it to be just a fun group, just about the music, and people love the group. The podcast, man, that first podcast and the first couple podcasts were shit. They were rough, man. My audio sounded like shit. There was a delay, there was an echo. I was too low, then I was too loud, then I was too low, then it was like it was garbage, right? Like, but we learned how to do it, and by like the third episode, we're sort of smoothing it out a little bit. Now, they seem to go great. Even with the drinking, by the end of the podcast, it's not a complete slurred, blurry mess. It's nice.
It doesn't have to be good. Like I say, it's almost like karaoke. I don't think you have to be a great singer. You pick the right song, you get the right tune, and you follow the words which are in front of you.
Yeah.
To me, that's good. Get up there. I have some karaoke pet peeves. I'd love to hear what yours are. Mine, two biggest ones for me are the host singing when there's a line waiting for 2 hours.
Yes,
like
that's man. Yes.
And the second one is, which you'll probably disagree with, is if you don't need the screen to sing karaoke, then you're not doing karaoke. You're performing for us, which karaoke is a performance. But I like someone to go up and have to not, at least to look and glance for a little bit, not
no.
And I'm sure you'll
just because your memory is shit doesn't mean everyone else's memory is shit.
Listen, answer me this.
There's people out there who know this. I played this song 4,000 times since I was in high school. I know the words. I don't have to stare at the screen.
No, not stare at the screen, but like if you're walking around, you don't need the screen at all for any of it. To me, that's a little bit different, and it's okay that you. A lot of people don't disagree with that, and those are professional karaoke singers.
No. I'm definitely disagreeing with you on this one. Like, I mean, even where like a song that I know the words to, like depending on how much I'm drinking, like I'll need to look at the screen a little bit because I'll fuck it up. Well, but there's definitely songs out there where I know these songs forwards and backwards. I don't have to look at the screen.
Do you really? Because I can, and maybe it's just me. I'm a huge music junkie. There was something, I don't know, it was on Twitter. It's like if you had to sing a song and get every lyric right for your life or for money, there's maybe there's one definitely, and
Mhm.
maybe I could think of a second one that I could do. There was a show like this that named that tune where you had to
Yeah.
sing, and if you missed the words, it would tell you. Or,
All right.
but give me one, maybe two. The first one, Mary Jane's Last Dance, I could do. I've actually performed on stage without a microphone, without a screen, and
All right.
then
That's a good
I did
one.
Kryptonite on stage also, but a lot too. I can maybe do Kryptonite, 2 songs. How
Okay.
many can you do?
Uh, I don't know. Good question. Probably a few. Probably more than two.
Yeah.
I can't name offhand, but like, I mean,
Well, give me one. You have it for your life. You have to do it.
all
What's
right.
the one song you're going to sing?
Tequila. I got that one. No
Oh my
problem.
God, that there was a guy. This is a
For
great
my
story.
life, if I'm going to bet my life on this one, it's going to be tequila. No screen required at all, man. But there's a bunch
Well,
of
you
others
got
where
to
I
get
was
the
at like $100.
timing. Do you have the
You know,
timing of tequila?
I got that.
I was on the Beach Boys cruise and they did a karaoke night, and there was this guy that it was his birthday, I don't know what, and his friends wanted to bring him up, and this guy was so shit hammered. There's no way he was going to be able to do any song, and sure enough, he gets up on stage, and what song starts playing?
Yeah.
Tequila. I'm like,
Nice.
this is literally the only song that you could put on for this guy that he can even remotely do, and it was awesome. The whole
But,
crowd loved it.
but if you're going to do it, that song, you got to walk up there with a glass of tequila and get everybody to yell tequila at the same time and then do a shot. Like you got to overact it if you're going to do it. You
Yeah.
can't just,
Oh, there
you
was
got to do it right.
it was great. I love to sing karaoke. I don't have a great voice, but I
Mhm.
know a lot of music and I get the tune, and I think I can do it enough to, if you pick the right song, it almost doesn't
Right.
matter how good my voice is. I've been trying. I'm always embarrassed or like nervous to try songs I don't know will go. And so if you're in like a bar where there's very few people, I say no one's even listening at this point.
Mhm. Mhm.
You kind of try them. What song? Give me like one or two songs that you are your staples, and then one or two songs uh, that you just never that you'd like to try because it would be fun, but you've just been hesitant to do it because you think it might not go so well.
Oh man. Uh, so I do like crooning a little bit. I do like it.
Okay.
So like Elvis, or Bobby Darin, Frank Sinatra. I do like those songs because I do that pretty good. So I'll occasionally throw out some crooning songs, which are a lot of fun. I've rock. I'll do. I like getting into country nowadays a little bit, though. I'm not great at it, but there's
I
a
have a
few
good
country
country
songs that I'm like,
twang. I don't know why. I got a good country twang in my voice.
you do
I
have a good
started with
country twang.
Chattahoochee. That was
Right.
I sang Chattahoochee when I first started, and that was my song.
Right. Nice. I did in when I was in Florida when you were there, I did the Killers on
Yeah.
stage. I did it's the song from the Hamilton soundtrack
Yeah.
that the
Yeah.
King sings. Yeah,
Yeah. I
da da
remember.
da da da. Right.
I
I did
remember you
that
doing
one.
that. Yeah.
I did that
That's
one
a
on stage. That
The
was
crowd
fun.
loved it.
Mhm. Yeah. I agree.
But that's karaoke. I mean, if you have to pick a song, some people are like, I've heard this song a million times, and sometimes it doesn't matter. And then sometimes there's a really great singer on who sings a song like, you're unbelievable, but nobody wants to hear this song.
Right. There's a lot of that as well. Look, when it comes to karaoke, there's a lot of drunk singing, living on a prayer, right? Just as how it's exactly how you'd expect it to sound, right? And I love that, but like there's some people are just really good at this, and they kick ass on stage. So I do love seeing that too. But
Yeah.
honestly, I love seeing the people crash and burn, and especially the
Oh,
ones who
so
crash and burn
fun.
but have a good time with it. That's the best. That's
Um,
usually where I'm like, I run up after and I like cheers them and let's do a shot. Like those people who just bomb it. Great, get over here, man. Let's have a drink after. But the people who are also like when we see it on Friday night karaoke, some people are like so good. It's like it hurts. It hurts
Yeah.
that they're not famous. Like
Yeah.
they're so good, and they
Sing.
just been like, yeah, I just never got my shot. I work at whatever job, and I like to sing, and like then their voice is just phenomenal, and I love posting those people as well.
That singing is maybe the one thing in the world where 50% of the people who aren't doing it professionally are
Mhm.
as good as at least 50% of the people who are getting paid to do it.
Right.
We can't think of anything else.
Probably even better. I mean, the people who are really good don't have auto tune and they don't have producers, and they don't have the full the full soundboards making them sound amazing. So but there's people out there who just don't do it. I think the same thing was in like sports, like the best hockey player doesn't even play hockey, right?
But not as many. I was going to say, like, if you're good at hockey, basketball, football, baseball, like someone will find you mostly, but there's some who aren't, and like they're the playground type people, but not as many as singers.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we have a lot. Singing is it takes a little bit of a if you have stage fright, it's rough. I mean, we have a lot of people that join Friday Night Karaoke that will be on the podcast. Well, I'm sorry, they'll be on the group and they'll join 2 months ago. Then they'll click like and then they'll comment on a few people, but they won't post a song. And then 2 months later, 3 months later, they're like, all right, finally, I'm going to post a song. This group looks nice. They post a song and it's like, holy shit, you're phenomenal. It's like, well, I'm just nervous about singing in front of people. I just sing when I'm in the car with the windows rolled up, and that's the only people who listen to me is nobody, right? And then this is the first time I've ever sang in public, and they're ridiculously good. So some people just, find it very difficult to just get up on stage and sing in public, so.
And now it's become easier to get recognized with karaoke being a bigger thing, with American Idol, who's on God knows how many seasons. Not that they do a good job of getting like winners, right? Because the winners are some of the least successful that they've ever had. It's just a matter. It's almost like
Kelly Clarkson, right? But besides that, but then you get the opposite, right? Then you get people who are like William Hung, right? Who clearly is not a great singer, right? He knows it. Everybody knows it, but he had like giant cojones, got on stage and just did that in front of the entire world, right? Like, and he'll do it any day of the week. He was on stage. Did you see that part where he got on stage at that last conference and started singing? And like,
I don't know if I was there.
At the very end, he got on stage and just started cranking them out. And he did not take any voice lessons at all between that time when he was on American Idol and now. Like it shows, right? Yeah. But he was, huge balls, walks up there and cranks it out. And
performs.
Had a great time doing it.
My favorite crash and burn story is my friend. He's probably not going to listen, but I'll tell him to listen in. Huge Kid Rock fan.
Yeah.
We're at his karaoke for his birthday. He's drunk, but I don't think that mattered as much. We put him to sing a song. It's almost as if he had never even heard of who Kid Rock was. He's really? Up there. The words are on the screen. He doesn't have the tune. He's missing the words. Mm-hmm. It was one of the greatest performances you'll ever want to be in the audience for.
Nice.
But look, it's fun. Good or bad, it's fun. Sing or not sing. For me, it's a fun night, although I do like to sing, and then you get disappointed, like you're waiting, for so long and you only get to sing once, I don't know.
That is the rough part with live karaoke, and it goes back to like the KJ getting up there and singing 12 songs throughout the night, and you're like, all right, come on, room full of people here. Now. Yeah, when you first started up, great. You want to sing one or two to get people in the mood, do it. You want to join a duet here and there, do it. But like, you should not be up there 12 times singing. There's no need for that. We're actually one of the fun parts about Friday Night Karaoke is. Sometimes we have these FNK IRL moments where you see other people from the group, or you meet other people from the group at a karaoke bar. So we were in Texas, Mike and I, and we had two people come in. We had Isabel, we had Luke come in. They both live in Texas, and it was just so cool to meet them in person. They've been singing on our group for probably 2 years now. And then all of a sudden we just met them for the first time in person and sang karaoke with them all night. It was fantastic. Before that, when we were at Podfest, we had Tyler come in. He was like 2 hours away, jumped in and then came down and, sang with us all night as well. That's such a cool thing is meeting some of the folks from the group that have been on the podcast, featured on the podcast, but we've never actually met in person, and then singing with them live at one of the karaoke bars. It was such a good time.
I get that here. I've met quite a few of the people that have been on my show that that I didn't know before, just for whatever, at meetings randomly. Mm-hmm. It's just crazy the way the world works in that way.
Yeah.
But we were at Podfest, and you sponsored.
Mopod
sponsored a Howl at the Moon night.
Oh yeah.
Howl at the Moon is like everyone singing karaoke for every song, which is a great sing along type of environment.
If you've never been to Howl at the Moon, it's basically live band karaoke. So you've got a band playing songs, and they'll sing and they'll play all night. But when you say, all right, oh my God, this is my jam, I want to get up there and I was singing. So you write it on a piece of paper and you hand it to him, and the singer steps away from the mic, and you get up to the mic and you sing there. And they got the guitar player, they got the drummer, they got the keyboard, and they're playing, and you're singing with the band, which is awesome. And by the way, that's one of those cases where you kind of got to know the words, right? So if you are, unless you're holding your phone out in front of you, because there's no like screen playing the words up there. But all night, people were jumping up there. Some people played guitar, and they're like,
Yeah, it was
dude,
awesome.
give me a guitar. And like the guitar player would just take his guitar off, give you the guitar, and you play that next song, the guitar. The drummer, whatever it is, the drummer jumped up, new drummer jumps in there. That is a ton of fun. And yeah, we sponsored that. I love that event because it kind of mixes our two things together, right? So Mopod was sponsoring the podcast conference, and how else would we want to sponsor that other than live karaoke, Friday night karaoke style?
Well, it turned into live band karaoke where you pay them enough money, they'll let you sing. That's basically, but I've never seen so many people sing at one time at Howl at the Moon.
Right.
And then I even did, I have to post this again. If you pay them money, they'll write something on the backboard until someone pays more to get rid of it. So they make a lot of money in that way. And I have something that says like Ticket Time Machine on there. It was like the best $5 I ever spent.
That's awesome. It's good advertising
and put on there. But what is from a conference point of view? You had a booth there.
Yeah.
People know you with your podcast. You're sponsoring. What's the value in that for you of being the sponsor?
Yeah, sure.
Great event, but it's a great event if you go and you don't sponsor.
Yeah, I like sponsoring events that I'm in the industry of, just because I feel like it just helps gets the word out. I've been in marketing my whole life. I've run conferences my whole life as well. So I started doing events of my own in 2000. So I've been doing in the event space my entire life, and I always found that if you're sponsoring and you take advantage of it and you do it right, it can really increase your popularity. We've had people, sometimes people sponsor and it's literally just a logo on the screen. They don't really take advantage of it. So if I wouldn't say go out there and just sponsor every event, you have to have a plan behind it, and you have to have a strategy. And you have to really think about it. We give out, we have these awesome t-shirts that we give out. We have slap bracelets that we give out. We got like cool swag and tattoos and printed stuff and cards. And we bring our team and we get everybody involved. And, we try to really make the most of it. So we get our bang for our buck when we're sponsoring. Not everybody does because they don't take advantage of that. Sometimes people just like sponsoring to support the industry, support the conference, and great. People will read about us, a little more casually. That's definitely not my approach. I like to be in it. And like I said, I've been doing events since I was, I don't want to say like since 2000, and for me to sponsor the after party, which is so much less of a struggle than throwing an entire event. I just get to throw a party. That's like any day of the week. I'll throw a karaoke party with drinks and food and shit getting thrown off the stage at people and like shots all around. Like that is my jam. So I'll happily do that every day of the week.
No, you were a great host. You were in the mix. You were visible, which is what you want. Explaining what you do with a sponsorship and how to make it worth what you're doing there. I actually didn't know. It's funny because I had the snap bracelet I was telling you. Until I talked to you after the conference, I thought you were Pod Mal.
Yeah, and when you hold it upside down, it does read well. It's like one of those what's that?
I don't know. My brain's not working.
It's not a palindrome, but like it reads upside down, kind of like that Tom Cruise movie. Remember where like it said the same word almost upside down? Remember with
he had the eyes wide
mullet, the angels and demons and something when he had anyway. It does say that. So when the first person pointed that out to me, I actually bought the domain name of my domain name backwards. So I wanted to make sure I got that in case
because it's
anybody was like, I'm going to go to podmo.com, and they went there. Now it actually goes to my website, which is cool, unless I fucked it up. But I did plan on doing that if I didn't do it already.
Yeah.
Please, nobody buy that domain name until after this.
No one's listening. No one's listening yet.
I'm gonna have to go buy it if I didn't do it yet. Yeah, I think I bought it, and I think I'm having a website designed on that page too. That's just gonna be my website backwards.
Yeah, that would be good, and then actually have it link.
Yeah,
it's good because it goes both ways. You could use Podmal and make that another company. I don't know what. Mo or Podmo or Mao or whatever it is, you could figure that out. Um, you were very bubbly and personable and out and engaging in the crowd.
I am
It
bubbly.
it, uh, it reminded me. It gave me Andy Cohen vibes. Did people tell you that?
Yep, I get that a lot. I do not. I've never been part of the Housewives show, but I do have the Andy Cohen. You know who you look like. That's definitely the go to. And
Yeah, the look
um,
is a little bit, but the sound and the personality, it's just
yeah,
it all kind of mixes. It's not a bad
no, look, I've
place
been
to
called
be.
worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to get well, I shaved my beard for the first time in forever, but I used to get Ben Roethlisberger, and I'm like, that's not good. I don't want Ben Roethlisberger.
No, it's not the worst.
No, but it's I don't know.
All right.
Who knows? Your background is actually not in music or anything like that. Give
No.
us a quick rundown on where you
Yeah,
started.
yeah. I've been in the entrepreneur and venture capital space for 20 something years. So I started doing events in 2000, bringing together entrepreneurs, bringing together investors, cocktails, good panels. So running these events across the country. I did 400 conferences over the past 2 decades, where I would just find an awesome location, top of a building, a rooftop at South by Southwest, a cool place in downtown the city, somebody's like a very expensive apartment in Manhattan, or like I would do these amazing events and bring together investors and companies and have the companies talk to these investors in an effort to raise capital. So I spent just years in that space. I started my own fund in 2010 with a few buddies of mine, investing in early stage tech companies. I would say we're on fund 3 right now. We've got over 60 companies across I guess, 13 odd years or so in the portfolio. Some very cool companies that we've got to invest in. And it's awesome. I love being in that space. I stopped doing events February of 2020. We rented an airplane hangar in Southern California, had this huge blowout event, like awesome VIP section with this top shelf bar and the huge stage and like booths everywhere, and like a big coffee barista section and food trucks. It was such a cool event, and it was a beautiful day in Southern California. And really, by then, everyone was like, "You hear this Corona thing?" And we're like, you know what? We're not buying any Coronas for this event at all. That's it. We are not going to do it. And we're like, all right, hand sanitizer too. Perfect. So I got like 10 hand sanitizers from CVS and put them out. I'm like, we're covered, people. This shit's not going to spread here at all. We're good. And that was the last event I ever did. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I got married on Leap Day
nice.
2020. It
All
was
right.
basically the last event anyone ever did before
Yeah.
a pandemic hit. We heard about Corona as we're on our honeymoon. We're like,
Right.
are we going to be able to get back?
Right.
And that's an interesting topic. You would think it'd be great to be caught on your honeymoon and delayed, right? But nobody's paying for you.
Yeah.
You're in a country, you got to figure out a way how to pay,
Right.
and not get back.
Yeah, that would be nice if they're like, listen, sir, we're gonna keep the open bar going for another couple of weeks for you because
Yeah.
you know, just because there's this Corona thing, we feel bad. So eat whatever you want, keep the open bar, you're good in your room, right? But that's probably not the case.
So, are with your fund, do you
Yeah,
look? You're looking for companies. What
I
stage
am.
are you at?
I am. So we are actively investing. We invest in, like I said, early stage tech companies, but there's a variety of those. So we have one company in the AI space. We've got one company in the drone visual drone collision space. We've got one company in the insurance space. So it helps with like these giant shipping containers and tracking them and insuring them. And we've got one company that's out of the tech space that is in the uh, pharmaceutical space. They produce their own like Tylenols and various drugs here in America at a higher quality in a glass bottle as opposed to being imported from overseas. So we've got a variety of companies, but I would say mostly tech, and that's just in our last fund. We've got, like I mentioned, probably over the past 13 years, almost 60 or so companies that we invested in. 3D printing company on the International Space Station, materials company where it's meant for like, room temperature superconductor, so high speed superconducting, telecommunications. So some really cool stuff over the years. It's a lot of fun seeing these amazing ideas, people that are so much smarter than me, people that are so creative, putting together these companies. And we get to check them out and invest in them and see if it works for us. So
But people can invest in your fund, which is the conglomerate of these companies.
Well, we don't advertise investing in our fund. We do raise the fund. So we do raise, like everyone else, in venture capital, they raise their fund from outside investors, from LPs, and we are the same. But I'm not, we don't typically solicit or talk about, we're in capital raising mode or anything like that.
Why not? I mean, people are investing in the stock, and admittedly, this is not a strong suit of mine, but people are in the stock market.
Yeah. It's a different type. It's a different type of investor. You have to be an accredited investor to do that. So to invest in early stage venture capital, and it goes back and forth as to that's good or it's bad. Maybe it's a sort of a safeguard for people who don't have the money to waste on something that could be really, really high risk. When there's no sell button in venture capital early, so you invest in a company. It's not like, oh shit, I'm not feeling it today. Let me click sell. Like, you can't do that. You're in it for a while, and the risk level is so high. I mean, if you look up just venture capital statistics of returns, yes, some of them make amazing returns. Some of them you invest in early. I'm in the Series A and it went public. You're like, amazing, you did great. You're good, But that success story is tougher to find than we invested and now they're out of business. So there's a lot of companies.
What's your success rate for the companies that you invest in that get to? They don't have to be like the biggest thing ever, but they get to whatever you're comfortable with as to the reason why the goal for why you invest.
Overall, pretty good. So across the three funds, we're doing rather well. Fund 3 is brand new, so we're doing pretty good, but it's still way too early to tell. Fund 1 was a little rougher. It was a little more learning experience in the front, but I think should still do well at the end of the day. Fund 2 is doing phenomenal. It's a fantastic portfolio, and I'm really excited about Fund 3 as well. It's already off to a good start, even at this early stage.
Is it like horse racing? Like, you can really know a lot about this stuff, but at the end of the day, you really have no idea.
You're certainly taking an educated guess, right? You're certainly betting on the jockey, and saying, does this person have what it takes to run an amazing company and grow an amazing company and then sell the product and then sell the company at the end of the day? Does this person have the stamina to do that or the know how to do that? How's the rest of the team looking? A lot of it is BS. You gotta wade through a lot of that, right? Like, how many companies I'm an AI company. Are you really an AI company? Are you really generating your own artificial intelligence? Fantastic, right? No,
I'm using artificial intelligence from somewhere else to build my own.
Exactly. No, we hooked into the Chat GPT API. Oh, okay. So you're not quite an AI company, right? I mean, we've heard so many things over the years that are just, buzzword. We're an AI company in the cannabis space, and I was like, all right, shut up. But people could pay us with Bitcoin, and I was like, all right, enough already. Like, I've heard all the buzzwords, all the everything over the years. Most of it's BS. And you have to be able to just sift through that, because a lot of times it's like, listen, you ever hear Facebook? That's going to be us, right? Like, you have to weed that shit out and actually see what these people have that's actually for real, right? So you got to do diligence on these companies and dig deep and make sure that you're not just getting taken for some bullshit fantasy ride.
Man,
that's not easy.
A lot of that around. Rank this importance: the entrepreneur, the product, service, and the quality of the product, service. Like, how good is it from the start?
Yeah.
And then the third thing is how popular something is.
I'm not sure about the popularity, but I would say 1 and 2 are in that order, right? So you have to have a good entrepreneur, right? I've seen good entrepreneurs that can just like do amazing stuff with a mediocre idea.
What's the quality? What's the quality that you're seeing in someone?
Just you see this drive. Like, I've met entrepreneurs where I'm like, you just pitched me. I don't like what you're doing at all, and I'm not going to give you any money. However, your next company, call me first, because I love you. You're awesome. You pitch like a rock star. I just don't like this idea, So I've definitely been in that position, and I've been in the opposite position where, it's a fantastic business, fantastic idea, and the people who are in charge just kill it.
What are
And
the red flags?
I'm sorry, and I don't mean kill it like kill it. Like I mean like
Oh, yeah.
like kill it. You
What
know,
are red flags?
oh, yeah, there's a bunch. You know, not knowing your competition. Who else is doing this? Nobody. Really.
That's
Nobody's
my
you have no
favorite when I
competition.
get that. We're the only one who does. No, you're not.
Hey, we just met this. I'm like, really? Because I got pitched like 4 times this same exact business across the country over the past, 7 months, and you're the only one doing it. Are you sure? Right? Like, what about these 4 companies? I just did a Google search. How about these 4 companies?
By the
Oh, well,
way,
you know what? It's like, I don't
the
know.
the biggest one of the biggest misconceptions in business is that you have to have something that nobody else has. You don't. You have to just do it better than everyone else.
You have to do it better, and you have to have a management team that can sell it
Well,
and
yeah, but I
package it
mean,
well, and then you
that's
have to
part
have
of
a
doing
business
better
around
than
it.
everyone else.
You have to do everything better than everyone else. Like, yeah, that's what I want to see as an investor is you're doing it all better than everyone else, right? Like, there's so many companies out there where I'm like, oh, another one of these. It's like, no. Yes, on the surface, it's another one of these. But look what we're doing differently here. Look how we're doing it better. Look who we are. Here's what we're doing differently, right? And here's how people are loving this, right? And it's like, all right, I'll take a look. So just because it's a company that's been out there doesn't mean there's not room for another company to do it better than the
No,
way
and
they
you
are.
want everyone to do it well. I'll give you an example with what we do. Like, there's a lot of commemorative tickets out there,
Mhm.
and most of them are garbage. And
Right.
that really hurts because when you go to someone and say, I'd like to do a commemorative ticket, they have this in their mind. They're like, well, we don't want that.
Right.
Right. So you might not even get the opportunity because there's people you're in your industry who are doing things the wrong way. And it's not going to get you that opportunity to show why
Right.
you don't do what they do.
Right. I mean, Google wasn't the first search engine, right? There was plenty out there. I was using Alta Vista and all these things back in the day, right? But Google killed them all,
Well,
right? If they
Google's
were
the
like,
best
oh,
to
there's
me.
already a search engine. Look, there's already people doing search. Like, we're not gonna do search,
Yeah.
right? Like,
But it's interesting because to me, Gmail is the worst of the mail services I've ever had.
actually, I don't mind it. I use it, but
I use Yahoo, but I mean, I use Outlook for my business, but I use
right,
Yahoo for my personal, and I have a Gmail, and
right.
I hate it. I don't know
All
why.
right. Yeah, I don't use too many other ones, so maybe I haven't shopped it around in quite some time, but seems to be working okay for
I
me.
think it was the thread thing too. The way everything had to be in a thread. They evolved, obviously now.
Oh yeah, I tried that and used it in classic mode because I can't stand that shit.
Oh, I still use Outlook old mode because it's
Mhm.
better. I use
Right,
the Yahoo old. I mean, there's so
right.
many of these older versions that are much better than. It's like we didn't ask for
Mhm.
this. Everyone
Yeah.
just got to keep bringing out new
Well,
ones.
and
We
I
didn't
mean,
ask for
along
this.
those lines, I mean, I got pitched several email companies over the past decade. I had email. I've had email for 20 something years, right? 20 years, right? And people are pitching, oh, here's a new way of email. I got pitched a bunch of those, so,
I
there's
think there's opportunity for an email. Don't you think there's opportunity for a company to come out along and take email to the next level?
maybe, I mean, honestly, if I was thinking of it to do a company right now, I wouldn't be like, I'm going to do
Oh,
email.
no, of
Like,
course
I don't know if I
not.
would, you
If
know,
you had to throw all of everything into one thing, what technology is it? Is it AI? Is it blockchain? Is it like, just give me one thing that you think if I had to go,
personally,
yeah,
I
personally.
I love fantastic space tech. I love it. I love it. I don't know why. Maybe it's romantic in some respect to me, but I think that there's tons of opportunity as well where it's a hit it out of the park, big idea, but with an amazing team, an amazing crew with a pedigree that has plenty of years in space. I love that stuff. AI, I think is huge, right? You can't hear anything in the venture space without going AI, right? Like you can't hear it anymore, right? But like, and then 2 years ago it was cannabis, right? And then 2 years ago it was Bitcoin and blockchain, right? So it's all the buzzwords like that you'll hear all the time that money, all of a sudden the herd mentality of venture capital goes to that space and everybody's got to invest in AI, right? Like,
The thing about
look,
AI is that it's been around forever. Just in
mm,
certain ways, like it's evolved, but it's like it's been around, and then it was like it's almost like when I do even like AR and VR, they've been doing it forever, but it was so expensive that nobody really could get into it. Now it's a little bit more mainstream, and they find out a way to get it to the masses and have the use. I mean, there's the thought of AR has been around, not the
sure,
use and all of that.
sure. And on the AI side, Yeah, there's been some things that seem smart that are close, like the predictive typing on your phone, right? Like
Yeah.
you type and then it appears the, right? Oh, yeah, the is the next word I wanted to say. How did you know that, right? So there's certainly been bits and pieces of these things around, but I would say to this level,
No, it's scary.
it's
Scary.
exploded. It's exploded, and it is
Do you like it?
it's dangerous. I
Yeah.
think
Do you like
it's
it? If you could
scary.
get rid of it, would you get
I
rid of it?
use it. Would I get rid of it if I had a chance to
Well, you're
say
going to
like
use it, and the thing about this, like the same thing with my dad. Like, he didn't use the internet because he didn't want to use it, but
right,
it killed his business back in the day. He's
right?
not with us. Like, there's things that you have to do because they're just not going away, and there's things that you do because you really see the value and you like it. Would you
Yeah.
do you like it? Would you get rid of it if you could just say, "There's no more of this. I don't want this in the world." Would you
If
do
I could
that?
magically poof it away, I think I might.
Yeah, me too. I
I
would.
think I might
Yeah.
because I think it's so far beyond what we understand it to be right now. Even there's engineers who are like, yeah, it write stuff and we don't know where it's coming from, right? Like these are the people who are in it, the smartest people who are in it are like, yeah, it's a little beyond what I thought this would be. I don't know where this answer came from. And the sad part is that humans are just not nice enough
No,
to
I
be
mean,
able
we
to
can't
control
trust.
this
We
thing
can't trust
and
them.
do a good job with it and be the caretaker of it until it becomes the caretaker of us and then says, uh, we're the dominant species, right? Like you're now you're subservient to us, right? Because AI is smarter than us,
Yeah.
right? It just has to figure that out, and I think that we're not ready for that. There's no master kill switch where all of a sudden these people can run up to the wall and be like and just shut
No,
it down, right? Like it'll be gone.
we
It
could
won't
write a
happen.
movie where instead of stealing nuclear weapons, they stole the AI stuff
Yeah.
to
You think you
like.
think you think hackers who are hacking this stuff now, they're using scripts and programs
Yeah,
and things like that, and they're hacking all the credit card databases. Imagine when they have just AI running nonstop scripts and writing their own scripts to make it even better to hack into this, right? Like all your data could be sucked. There's a lot of dangers to this. The infrastructure is not overly well protected. I mean, if somebody wants to hack a system, a power grid, you see things like that. AI can make that easier, right? Like I'm not trying to give anybody ideas here, right?
no,
I mean, this is all spoken about, ad nauseum among experts. So I'm not like giving anyone ideas here, but there's there's real dangers in this, in using this for
that's
evil.
in everything data. I mean, I just go look at Catch Me If You Can,
Right.
which is one of my favorite movies. To think like the criminals are always going to catch up
Yeah.
to whoever is trying to build these, and that's why there's value. Like it's so genius that the FBI hired him because that's what you need. You
Yeah.
need these people
Oh,
who
there's
are who
plenty.
instead of throwing them in jail the rest of their life, they protect. But
Oh yeah,
even
there's
then,
plenty.
can you trust
Plenty.
them?
Yeah. There's plenty of people who get hired by the FBI to work for the good guys, so to speak, right? Like, yeah, but there's definitely plenty of people out there who do not want to do that and are happy just to burn shit down.
Yeah.
So, having AI as an assistant, look, I use it. We use it in Mopod, right? I got the Chat GPT API connection, and it helps write ads for podcasts, right? So download the Friday Night Karaoke podcast, listen to it now, right? Like listen to the most amazing 80 songs in the world, right? Like, so we have that thing going for that, but it's writing it for, you know, entertainment
Yeah.
value, right? Like, but there's people who are using this that could use this for not so good
I
purposes.
don't know what I can pass every class that I would ever have to go back to school with.
Oh yeah, I already got a letter, by the way, this past year from my son's teacher that was like, "Yeah, he didn't write this." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Read this," and I'm like, "Oh shit! Like,
Yeah.
there's no way he wrote this
I
good.
don't
He
even
is
like
not
that
that
when
good of
you
a
hire
writer."
it's like hiring someone else. Yeah.
Yeah, so he got in trouble for that, and then shortly after we had to, there's a group wide letter from the principal that was like, "Yeah, ChatGPT is not an approved piece of software for writing your papers. Please note that for your kids." Right? It was like, I'm like, "All right, good job, man. Good attempt." But yeah, they had to make sure that that was now off limits.
Oh, Mopod, what's the platform? How does it work? If someone is interested in growing
Uh-huh.
their podcast, give us the quick version of
Sure.
how it works.
Sure. So you go to mopod.com. There's for a small independent podcast, there's a boost button right there. What you do is you grab your RSS feed. You know, if you have a podcast, you know what that is. You grab your RSS feed and you pop it in there, and then it will pull in all the data from your RSS feed. You can choose which episode you want to promote. So this is our latest episode. We're going to promote, for Friday Night Karaoke, it's 80s week. We're going to do that. We're then going to, so it generates a title and a subtitle. So, FNK 80s week, and then it'll give you a few sentences for a subtitle. That's where we hook into this whole Chat GPT API, because it'll help you suggest a few other slogans for your ad. And then you can choose your targeting. So you can say, all right, I want this to go to this gender, to this age group, to this location, to this household income demographic brackets of just people with $100,000 to $150,000 a year in Illinois and these 5 states or whatever. So you can kind of narrow it down depending on if how narrow you want to get your focus, and then you can just choose how many downloads you'd like to your podcast. I want to start small. I'm going to get 100 downloads and just get this a little bit, so it gets a little bit of promotion, like the the boost button inside Facebook when you're going to boost a post. I want to get just a little bit of promotion, or I want it. This is big. I want to promote the heck out of this, and you can just choose whichever number you like. You put in your credit card, and it just charges you for that amount. We, again, like I mentioned earlier, only work on performance. So it's up to us to take that risk. So we put out, hundreds of thousands or millions of ad impressions. And we, try to make sure that we're, not coming in at a loss there, and hopefully coming in at a bit of a profit. And
is that automated? I mean, does it, if I throw $1,000, you're not sitting there saying, hey,
that's correct. It's all programmatic ad placement through SSPs, which is just ads all over the internet, essentially. So it runs through ad networks all over the internet. It bids on the best prices based off of your targeting. So it's all like automatic bidding and stuff like that. So it runs through all that system, and then it shows the ads on whatever website you see any kind of banner ad on a website. Like, that's not just like hard coded on there. The banner changes all the time based off of who's bidding on that placement at that very second with those demographics at what best price. So it's a whole big bidding war, like stock market sort of thing in the background of pricing. So it runs on all of those.
Give me a podcast technology that you support. Just give some pub to someone.
Podcast technology that support. Sure. So I would say for bigger podcasts, I love Megaphone. They're a great company. It's a podcast hosting platform. For smaller podcasts, I would say Spreaker is a good one. We used Spreaker when we first started, and I think that was great. Libsyn out there is another great one. Omni's a great one. So these are podcast hosts. I would say other technologies. There's a company called, wait, hold on. I'm blanking on it. Oh shit, he's going to kill me. I'm forgetting his name. Hold on. Forgot the name of the podcast.
Well, you can remember. One of the great things about
I'm gonna have to call a Lifeline. Hold on a second.
What I had Podfest was there's all these companies that are kind of doing what the bigger guys are doing, and it's going to make them have to do better, because you're like, if you don't offer this, we're just going to switch to this other platform. And part of it is like you see StreamYard getting that way and really improving what they offer, because the competition, even these smaller companies, are offering it.
Right. So I would say another one, Pod Pros, is a great one. And I use
Pod Pros. That's I get
Alex
emails.
Sanfilippo.
Yeah, I get emails from Alex.
Yeah, he really great guy in the podcasting space. And I'm sorry for blanking on your company name for a few seconds there. But I use it often to find guests or be a guest on other podcasts. So if you're looking for guests, they hook you up with guests. So you type in your bio and you type in, when you like to do this, and then it matches you with a bunch of podcasts. And you can be like, yes, no, sort of swipe left, swipe right sort of thing, and get to be a guest on other people's podcasts as well. So there's some cool technologies out there. When you walk around the conference,
only getting better.
Oh, for sure.
What would you do? You got to start a new podcast tomorrow, not karaoke. What would you do? What would you want to talk about? What would you want to do a podcast about?
Oh man, I'd have to look into that, because obviously I have a extensive history in the entrepreneur space. So would I talk about that? But it's also been done to death. I'd have to find a bit of a niche in there that has not been just completely done. That's something that I would certainly talk about, because I love it. Or Yeah, no, that's it.
What's the best podcast out there? What's the best podcast out there aside from
Just go Friday night karaoke.
Friday night karaoke? Your answer cannot be Friday night karaoke or the Wolff Den. What's the best one out there? What's your favorite? What do you think is?
I don't know. I don't want to go with best one out there.
Yeah,
but I'll
favorite.
go with one of my favorites, Uncle Drank.
Uncle Drank?
Uncle Drank. It is a podcast about like a washed up like country western southern rock singer and his crazy drunk exploits, all told from the point of view of his blender that makes him these banana daiquiris
Uncle Drank.
and it's funny. It's like his first marriage, and then his second marriage, and his 3 kids, and then his 4th kid. It's like, and then I saw this thing, and then I slept through it, and I woke up on the beach, and like it's just like an entertaining, funny drunk story, which is really right up my alley. And but there's music in there, and here's the other reason I love it. So they wrote a bunch of original songs for this, like biggest boat on the dock or something like that, like funny like country songs and they published the songs as well. So and they got these guest singers like Uncle Cracker to help write some of the songs, and the songs actually went out there, and I've heard them on the radio on Sirius XM. So you hear the songs that they published just for this podcast on under I'm not sure if they published it under Uncle Cracker or the pseudonym. I don't remember offhand, but like it's all tied together, and they did such a fantastic job with it. It's a fun podcast. Like they're short episodes. It's not like sitting there forever, and it's just entertaining. And it's one of those things where like I don't have to watch it on a TV. It's hands free, you know. So it's cool. I recommend it.
Uncle Drank. I'll have to check it out. We're going to let you out of the Wolff Den with the same question everyone gets. You got 24 hours to spend with anybody in the world. You can't be related to them, and they have to be alive. Who would you pick, and what would you guys do?
24 hours spent with them. They can't be related, and they can't be alive, and they have to be alive, or they can't be alive, or they have to be alive.
They have to be alive.
Have to be alive. Elon Musk.
Elon Musk.
Yeah.
I'm putting my money on Zuckerberg if they fight. How about you?
Oh shit.
He does like jujitsu.
That's the problem. Zuckerberg's like he's already been training for years. So
yeah. I'll be honest. They both could use a good ass kicking.
Honestly, I think both of their times could be better spent not fighting each other and like fixing shit.
If he's got enough time to waste around Twitter, he can do a boxing. They could do, you could raise money. I'd love to do a special ticket for that.
Well, that's a different story. You should totally try to sell the tickets for that because it would sell out in a heartbeat, But
I'll just do a commemorative ticket, like Elon. We would do Elon here. I did a Tyson ticket. Man, where's my Tyson ticket when you need it? Anyway, I would watch it. I don't know if I'd pay for it, but I'd watch it and I'd be interested in it.
I don't know. I'd watch it just because it's happening, but like honestly, like I don't need Mike Tyson and Conor McGregor doing tech shit. I let them fucking fight. I'd love to watch these fucking fighters fight and kick ass, but not them. I'd rather them let them both fucking donate $5 million to some charity and then build more awesome shit for the world. That's where they don't need to fucking be. He's got a broken arm and a fucking broken nose, and like now
there's a market. We had Damon Feldman. We had Damon Feldman on, who's celebrity, but he was the original celebrity boxing when Screech and Tanya Harding. Right. There's a market for these two like going at it. Whereas now there's all these exhibition matches where they're barely fighting. Like if you're going to get two celebrities really fight, I think it would be entertaining if they don't have to train. Like look, train an hour or whatever. It's exercise.
Yeah, I used to watch Celebrity Deathmatch. That was awesome.
Yeah,
it was like MTV or something, or like that was great.
That's a great idea. We got to figure out the next great. I got an idea for a show. I want to run by you. We'll talk about it and get on another call and talk about how I can use Mopod and really try and the low hanging fruit to help get the Wolff Den to be a more watched program, because we got great content. That's for sure.
For sure. Yeah. Like seriously, reach out after and let me know. I'll get you set up and talk you through which technologies to start using to get this video to be a podcast. In the meantime, I'll just throw out my logo, my URL again, if that's cool. Just
it's down at the bottom.
mowpod.com if you want to grow your podcast. And if you like singing and like karaoke, check us out at Friday Night Karaoke. You can check it out on any of the podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple, Pandora, all those things. And additionally, if you are on Facebook,
join the Facebook
Friday Night Karaoke Facebook group. Join that; it's free. And then just start singing your heart out. We'd love to have you join our group.
Yeah, I'm on the Friday Night Karaoke Facebook group, but also you can check out Mopod on all of the channels at It's Mopod, It's Mopod. It's Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. Great to chat with you about.
We got like millions of views on TikTok and YouTube, and we have some awesome stuff up there. So some good things, but definitely check us out on the website, and of course you can reach me personally. I'm on LinkedIn, just Joe Rubin, and hit me up through the website as well. So always happy to chat all things podcast.
Perfect. Great to chat with you. We got another episode tomorrow, and then we're on a little bit of a break as I got some business trips coming up. But and we're approaching episode 300. I still don't even know what we're going to do for 300, but I'm working on something pretty good. So we will talk to everyone soon.
I think you have to send all of your 295th episode people like some sort of steak and
yeah, they get something.
Goal, right?
It's something in the mail.
Yeah.
Just make sure you have the right zip code.
I'm checking. Awesome, man. This was great. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. We'll talk soon. Thanks, Joe. Have a good one.
Later.